All right, ready to tee off on another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that might actually help you shave a few strokes off your game.
Oh, is this going to help my slice?
Maybe indirectly, but today is all about the mental game.
Mental game, huh?
Yeah, it's about how your mindset can make or break your performance on the course.
I guess that makes sense. I know when I'm feeling confident, I tend to play better.
Exactly. And when you're doubting yourself, it can really mess with your swing.
So where are we getting all this wisdom from?
We've got excerpts from a book on golf psychology, and we'll be diving into the foreword and some testimonials from PGA pros.
Bro insights, huh? This is getting interesting.
You know what really grabbed my attention? The book emphasizes that golf is way more than just mechanics.
Well, yeah, it's not like you can just program a robot to win every tournament.
Right. One of the players, a regular on the PGA Tour, talks about how he used to get so caught up in analyzing every single detail of his swing.
So like paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. He was so focused on the technical stuff that he lost the joy of the game.
And probably didn't score too well either, I'd imagine.
His scores definitely suffered. But things turned around when he started working with the book's author and incorporated things like visualization and consistent routines into his practice.
So instead of obsessing over his swing, he started picturing the shot he wanted.
Yeah, like a mental rehearsal.
It's more than just wishful thinking, though.
Right. It's not just some feel-good mumbo-jumbo. There's actually a lot of research showing that visualization can prime your brain and muscles for better performance.
So you're basically tricking your body into thinking it's already done it successfully.
Pretty much. Another player who's competed on both the PGA and Nike tours tells this great story about how he hit some of his best shots from really tough spots, like being stuck in the rough.
I bet in those situations you don't have time to overthink things.
That's what he said. He had to focus on where he wanted the ball to go, not the mechanics.
You just got to trust your instincts.
It makes you wonder, have you ever noticed that when you're completely convinced you can do something, you're way more likely to actually pull it off?
Yeah, like that self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
If you believe you're going to fail, you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Makes sense. So we've got these pros talking about visualization. What else does the book get into?
Well, it also dives into the mental toughness of legends like Jack Nicklaus and Tom Weiskopf, but it goes beyond just saying, oh, they were mentally strong.
So there's some meat to it. Give me an example.
All right, so there's this anecdote about Nicklaus. He was trailing by a few strokes going into the final round of a major tournament. The pressure was immense.
Yeah, can't even imagine.
But instead of letting it get to him, he just zoned in on what he could control, his own game, one shot at a time.
Sounds like he channeled that pressure into focus.
Exactly. And then you've got Weiskopf, who was known for bouncing back from bad shots like a champ.
Didn't dwell on the mistakes, just moved on.
It makes you think, is mental toughness the main thing separating good golfers from the greats?
I think it plays a huge role. It's what helps you recover from those inevitable setbacks, sink those clutch putts, and perform when it really counts.
We've all choked under pressure at some point. The question is, how do you train your mind to stay locked in during those crucial moments?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we'll be exploring as we continue this deep dive. We'll look at techniques and strategies you can use to build that mental resilience, both on and off the course.
It's really interesting hearing these pros talk about staying present, like that's a big part of their mental game.
It does seem to be a recurring theme, yeah.
You know, the PGA and Nike Tour player we were discussing, he had this crazy tournament where he started off pretty rough.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that story.
But then he finished the last 7 holes with 5 birdies.
Wow, what a turnaround.
Totally. And he said it was all about staying in the moment, just focusing on each shot as it came.
So, like, blocking everything else out.
Yeah, almost like the pressure forced him to be super present, you know?
Yeah. It's like sometimes when the stakes are high, you can find this weird sense of clarity.
Like you don't have time to overthink things, you just react.
Exactly, you're just in the flow.
And that's something you can actually practice, right? Like mindfulness and stuff.
Absolutely. There are techniques you can use to cultivate that state of presence.
Like how do you actually do that on the golf course? With all the distractions and everything?
Well, one thing you can try is focusing on your breath. Taking a few deep breaths before each shot can really help calm your nerves and bring you back to the present moment.
So it's like taking a pause, hitting the reset button.
Right. And another powerful technique is engaging all your senses. Really notice the feel of the club in your hands, the texture of the grass, the sounds around you.
Instead of letting your mind wander to all the what ifs and could have been.
Exactly. And the more you practice staying present, the easier it becomes to access that mental state when you really need it.
Well, that makes sense. So we've got visualization, staying present. What about making decisions out on the course? The book talks about this idea of shifting focus from your swing to scoring.
It's a subtle but important distinction. It's not always about hitting the prettiest shot. It's about playing smart and getting the ball in the hole with the fewest strokes possible.
So sometimes laying up is the better choice, even if it doesn't feel as impressive.
Exactly. It takes mental discipline to make those strategic decisions.
Because it can be tempting to go for the hero shot even when the odds aren't in your favor.
It's about being able to override your ego and choose the shot that gives you the best chance of success, even if it's not the flashiest option.
So you really need to be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses.
Self-awareness is key. It's about assessing the situation and making calculated decisions based on all the factors at play.
That reminds me of this time I had a big decision to make about my career.
Oh, yeah?
It would have been easy to choose the path that sounded more exciting on the surface, but I knew deep down it wasn't the right fit for me long term.
And I bet that decision ultimately led to a more fulfilling outcome.
Absolutely. So it's like in golf, sometimes the smartest play is the one that requires restraint and strategic thinking.
You got to think ahead, play the long game.
So all these mental skills we're talking about, they can actually benefit you in other areas of life too, right?
No doubt about it. It's about becoming more aware of your thoughts and tendencies so you can make conscious, intentional choices.
Both on and off the course.
Exactly.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the mental side of golf, but how can our listeners actually put these ideas into practice?
Well, one thing we haven't touched on yet is the importance of having a solid pre-shot routine.
I know I've heard pros talk about their routines, but what makes it so important?
It's basically like a ritual to get you in the zone. It's a series of steps that you do before each shot to help you focus and get in the right mindset.
So is it more than just picking your club and taking a practice swing?
Yeah, it's about incorporating both physical and mental elements. The physical part could be lining up your shot, checking your grip, that kind of thing.
And the mental part.
That could be visualizing the shot, taking some deep breaths to calm your nerves, maybe even a quick positive affirmation.
So you're kind of programming your mind and body for success.
Exactly. It's about eliminating distractions and building confidence by creating this consistent routine. It's like telling yourself, okay, we've done this 1,000 times before, we got this.
Does everyone's routine have to look the same?
Not at all. That's what's cool about it. You can personalize it. Some players might need a more elaborate routine. Others might keep it super simple. It's all about finding what works for you.
So where should our listeners start if they want to develop their own pre-shot routine?
I think the key is to start with what feels natural and comfortable. Think about what helps you settle your mind and focus. Maybe it's taking a deep breath while visualizing the ball's trajectory or picking a spot on the back of the ball to focus on.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right?
Exactly. It's a process. The goal is to find a routine that you can stick with, and that consistently helps you get into that zone where you play your best golf.
So pre-shot routine, check. We also talked a lot about visualization. Any other tips on making that more effective?
The more vivid your visualization, the more impactful it'll be. Don't just picture the ball going in the hole. Try to engage all your senses. Imagine the feeling of the club making contact, the sound of the ball soaring through the air, even the smell of the grass.
Wow, so you're basically creating a mini movie in your mind.
Pretty much. And you can practice this off the course, too. Anytime you have a few minutes, just close your eyes and run through those mental rehearsals.
And that way it becomes almost automatic when you're actually playing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And here's another important point. Focus on the process, not the outcome.
I feel like that's a big mental shift for a lot of people.
It is. When you get caught up in the scorecard and winning or losing, it can create a lot of unnecessary pressure that can sabotage your game.
You tense up, start overthinking, and your swing goes out the window.
Exactly.
Mm.
But if you focus on the things you can control, your swing mechanics, your pre-shot routine, your attitude in that moment, the results will take care of themselves.
So it's about trusting the process and knowing that you've put in the work.
And remember, golf is a game of mistakes. Everyone, even the pros, hits bad shots. The key is how you respond to those mistakes.
Don't dwell on them, learn from them, and move on.
Every shot is a fresh start. That's a good mindset to have in golf and in life.
I love that. So to recap, visualize, develop a pre-shot routine, focus on the process, and remember every shot is a new opportunity.
And most importantly, have fun out there. When you're enjoying the game, you naturally play better.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the mental game of golf. We hope you learned some valuable insights that you can take with you both on and off the course.